This is episode 38 of the TO Sports Talk podcast. I'm Evan Brown. That's James Price, host of TO Sports Talk. And later podcast today, that doesn't matter. If you've not heard of the news, William Nylander signs with the Toronto Maple Leafs $6.9 for 6 years. Halle frickin' Luya.
And may I mention that I am now 3 for 3 on contracts and signings and all that stuff. With us.
I told you, and I told everyone this. I hope I eat my words, and I did.
Yeah. Well,
so
hey, in the end, we're all happy Leaf fans.
And it looks like Detroit is eating this lead right now.
Yeah, 4-1 deficit for the Leafs, and now it's a 4-4 tie with 8 minutes left in the third period. We're gonna have this live on the podcast right now.
Live on the pod.
So we're going to start off, obviously, of course, with William Nylander, and I think it's a must.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously with the Nylander signing, it came down to the wire, and I think we all know that. And Nylander said himself, and I remember how on the last pod, I was talking about how they were going to crack because you can't just not play and.
Well, Dubas couldn't crack. Dubas cannot have cracked, and if it would be anybody, it would be him cracking before Kyle Dubas.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened.
So apparently, it was 4:30.
It was something like that. Nylander
Central
was saying,
Time. Yeah. Central Time.
Okay, so do the math, do the equations.
Do the equation exactly. No, sorry, it was 3:30 Central Time. I guess Eastern Standard. It was 4:30.
Right.
Sorry, I just spit that on your laptop.
Okay.
Anywho,
that's fantastic.
Louis Gross. Who was it that wanted to call first? It was Nylander that wanted to call Dubas.
Yeah.
So then Louis Gross got on the phone.
So what happened was,
Dubas.
and apparently, Nylander called, and I think he said, "Let's get this thing done."
Yeah.
And I think that right there was him cracking and saying, "Let's just do this thing. I want to play, and I ideally want to make some money this year."
It's funny because when the deal actually got signed on my phone, the first notification, was it from Bleacher Report? No. Was it from Twitter? No. Was it from the Score? No. From CP24 of all things.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it would be them. You'd think it would be like a Twitter notification, especially with Bob McKenzie and Darren Dreger and all those guys tweeting everything out about that situation.
And this was at 4:58 the deal got done. Now, obviously, you would think that maybe there would be a problem with communication. Because listen, if there's a delay from Canada to Sweden...
Yeah, that'd be an interesting scenario. What would you go off of? Would you go off of Central Time like you said, or Toronto time for that matter?
Well, no. Well, no. The fact is that it was done at 2 minutes before 5 o'clock.
So
the delay, if there was a delay, a malfunction, that'd be interesting to see what would have transpired.
Exactly. I think you put it well off the top, or right off the top with it getting done about 4:30. And that was when the deal was made. It came to the media, and the reporters reported it out 2 minutes before. The deal was probably done about half an hour before.
I beg to differ because they called Dubas at 4:30.
Well, we don't know when it all got done. Bottom line, it was done.
It was tight.
It was in. I'd say it was in the last 15 minutes.
And this deal is great. I mean,
it's top heavy. It's a very top heavy
but
deal.
It doesn't matter about this year.
No, it doesn't. That's the point, right?
It matters about next year and the year after that. Because, guys, once Patrick Marleau's contract's up, and I hate to do this to Patrick Marleau, I love the guy. $6.5 million is quite a bit of money.
Exactly.
And once that contract is off the books...
That's a lot of money saving right there.
Oh, the Leafs are going to be laughing, and that's if we keep Zaitsev on this team.
Yeah, because he's making, 4.5?
He's the... Yeah,
and obviously, as we all know, Ron Hainsey's contract's done at the end of the year, and he's made $3.5 million. That's a lot. I know Ron Hainsey's been, a lot of people chirp him because he's old and he's slow and he's not a good offensive player and all that kind of stuff. But he has been a staple for this team the last 2 seasons.
Listen, it's doable if the players sign, because the worst case scenario is Matthew gets $13 million, $13 million a year.
Yeah.
Marner gets close to 10. That's I think that's worst case.
I think it
and we can still
is the
do
worst
it.
Case scenario. Yeah,
it's manageable with the worst case scenario.
But after that, you obviously won't be able to get Jake Gardiner back. You won't be able to get Ron Hainsey back, and then you're leaving a lot of holes on D. And we've talked about how this team is very light on defense. We all know that. We've known that forever. And we always talk about this team needing to upgrade their defense. A lot of people saying, "Oh, trade Nylander for defense. That's what you need." Well, now all those people are probably very happy that William Nylander is back in a Leafs jersey. So
well, then there's some people starting to interrupt, but then there's some people who he's greedy. I don't want him on the team. Listen, we're better off with him than without him, right? I'm happy that he's a Leaf. It should have got done way sooner than this, but it got done. Move forward. Now, this is what the Leafs are going to have to go through once they get these big contracts signed.
Yeah.
They have to go young, cheap, and speedy.
Like Pittsburgh.
Like Chicago when they weren't
yeah.
Now,
when
right?
they weren't salary cap in trouble, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard, to find all those young guys. And like you mentioned, a team like Pittsburgh and guys like Connor Sheary and Jake Gensel and guys like that, you don't really see in the minors is going to be studs, but they go into the NHL and they play with some really good players and they turn into the players that, I mean, Connor Sheary got a pretty good contract there with the Buffalo Sabres. Jake Gensel, heck, when he becomes a free agent, he's going to get a doozy of a contract.
Oh,
and
exactly.
Speaking of contract, Phil Kessel, I know we'll get into him in a little bit. Obviously, Pittsburgh testing the waters with trade market wise with Phil Kessel. We'll get into that in a little bit. But would you think a guy like Jeremy Bracco might fit into that kind of mix? Now I know
but he's down at the depth charts a little too much. I would bring up Grundstrom over him, to be completely honest with you.
And even a guy like Mason Marchment, I've loved what he's done in the AHL.
Even Trevor Moore.
Yeah,
for that matter. Jeremy Bracco is a guy where he is, or he can be projected to be a good player.
Well, because you look at his OHL numbers back when he was in junior, and even in the U.S. wherever he was in the U.S. league, it looked pretty good. He was over a point per game. I mean, anytime you're over a point per game in any league, you're good.
Other than the Q, well, even the Q, but the Q's scoring is a bit.
It's lower
influx.
But
again, I totally agree with you, but right now the Leafs have to go, not now, but in the previous years, very, very cheap, speedy, and young. And that's because these contracts are going to eat up the cap. Now, the cap has gone up.
It's going to go up to $83 million.
$83 million. So this contract in maybe 2-3 years' time, guys,
it's
going to look up
beautiful
as a steal if we project him to be better than he was in the last 2 years. And I think so.
Yeah,
and I think so.
if you have him continuously growing the way you see it happening, right? I mean, you've seen progress from Nylander over the last few years. Now, ideally, point totals I think are identical. I think in those 2 full seasons, I think it was like 60 points both years, or in that range at least, in the 60-point range.
In that range,
and you expect him to develop into a much better player. He's 22 years of age. I mean, it's not like this guy's 25, 26, and you're like, all right, buddy, hurry up. No, there's no rush.
And people really have to stop comparing him to David Pastrnak. Listen, that contract that David Pastrnak signed is golden. You are never going to get that with any player in the league that's an 80-point guy.
Now,
with Boston,
that's
a sweetheart contract.
When they talked to Pastrnak about that deal, I mean, all he was saying, and you know what, for us as fans, David Pastrnak is the way we see it. For example, he said that, if you told me 10, 15 years ago that I'd be making $6 million a year, I'd be laughing in your face. Yeah, so he's making for us regular people, he's making $6 million. He's happier than the pig and you know what, and he's playing for a team in Boston who's got a great fan base. He's a great player, and eventually, he's only 22. He will make the big money.
And plus, us fans just look at it as being like, oh, well, how come Pasternak's making 6.6 and he's an 80-point player?
Right.
Well, we're dealing with a guy who's a 60-point player and wants close to 7.5. He got 6.9. I'm happy with the deal.
I am too.
I'm whole happy the saga is over.
Yeah. And also, the question afterwards was, will he get dealt in the offseason? And will that happen? Well, it seems like Kyle Dubas pretty much and William Nylander shut that down like that. Dubas is like, we want this guy around. We've been talking about it all the time. I was
surprised Friedman said that on Saturday, because I trust the Friedge, I do, but at the same time, it's how can you go and say something like that when he hasn't even played a game at that point while you said it?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So I just think it's complete garbage. I think he's going to be a Leaf for the rest of his career.
I see that happening.
If not for the past 6 years. Or,
Yeah.
sorry, for the next 6 years, I should say. He's going to be a Leaf. And I think he wants to be a Leaf. And
Well,
I know he wants to be a Leaf.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that's the same with Matthews and Marner. I mean, ideally, Mitch Marner, obviously growing up a Toronto fan, obviously you want to be with that team for your entire career. For Austin Matthews, it's going to be a little bit intriguing to see what happens this offseason. I don't really know what to expect. I mean, people have kind of projected, well, if he wants to take a little bit of a cut, he could take around 11 like Tavares. Will that happen? I don't know. I don't know what's in Matthews' mind. I don't know what's going on in that situation. But like we've talked about before, he can arguably make $13 million plus.
And, listen, Arizona Coyotes, I dare you to offer sheet Austin Matthews. I dare you. I would love to see the 4 first-round picks you're going to have to give up for him.
Yeah, really.
Would you take 4 first-round picks or Austin Matthews?
Are we talking Arizona first-round picks?
Obviously.
If that's the case, then
Arizona.
I might be all right with that because Arizona
4 first-round picks for Austin Matthews. I don't know about that, but it would be a great story. So go ahead, Arizona. Offer him.
Yeah, obviously they won't do it, but they have the cap. They need to do something.
Teams have done stupider moves.
Yeah. So let me go back to the whole Nylander situation, and you mentioned something.
For a little bit.
Yeah,
we got more to talk about.
Not too much longer, but you mentioned something about, what was it? It was something to do with, everyone's mad about Nylander resigning, and you're like, oh, he's being greedy, you wanted him traded, and all that kind of stuff. And you mentioned a good point. I think it was in the last podcast you mentioned it. No matter if you trade Nylander or not, you are not going to get the same type of player. You might get a couple pretty decent players, but you are losing the skill in William Nylander. Now that you got him, it's amazing.
Pretty much what you're trying to say here is you're not going to get a hockey trade if you trade William Nylander.
No.
You're going to get a top 4 defenseman and maybe a top 9 forward. You're not going to get a Ryan Johansson for Seth Jones type of deal in this situation. No. That's why you're better off having him than not having him. And listen, if you were in the same position, you would do the exact same thing. I would do the exact same thing if I was in William Nylander. I would bite to the bone, and I would be like, I'm worth every single penny.
Of course,
any of you guys would do that.
Now it's funny because we talked about how his dad and Louis Gross were obviously the huge influences in this signing and in this really saga, if you want to call it. And in the end, it took William Nylander physically calling Kyle Dubas to get the deal done.
Yeah.
So
that's why he wanted to be a Leaf.
Exactly.
It didn't take Louis Gross. It took William Nylander to be to his agent. Listen, I think we got to get this deal done quickly, right? Yep. So he cracked. I'm just so happy that he's playing right now. Actually, and you can live on the podcast.
You can see how happy he was. Yeah. Our last thing about, it's more or less about the team as well. Are you surprised at the line he's playing on? Now, okay, let me reword that then. Are you surprised that they didn't kind of tweak the lines a little bit? I understand Matthews.
Tweak them as in,
like, for example,
bring Nylander
we got so used to seeing Kapanen with Matthews, right? And that ideally, Matthews has been with Kapanen all year long, and look at his flipping numbers. It's been through the roof. So my personal thought would have been that you would have thrown Nylander with Kapanen and Matthews, because not only does Nylander know Matthews like the back of his hand, him and Kapanen are best buddies, and that would help him succumb to
and draw Patrick Marleau down to the third line.
And put him with Kadri.
I think it's for that leadership, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Right. But I'm not surprised that they did it this way. I just thought it would have been really interesting to see Matthews, Kapanen, and William Nylander together.
Oh, yeah. And I think that it's probably going to happen this season, but at the same time, I would like to happen too and drop Patrick Marleau down to the third line. Now, talk
about the team as a whole, buddy. Let's get right into this Leafs team as a whole, not just William Nylander.
Yeah, agreed. So the Leafs, I guess since we talked, are undefeated. Or no?
Yeah, well, they've won like 5 straight. We've talked. I'm assuming we've talked since then. Let's break this puppy down. Let's go quickly through the games. We're not going to break them down, but we're going to go through them real quick.
You're doing your videos, and we have a lot to talk about for the NHL.
Yeah. So
let's start with the Buffalo game. Actually, I don't care if this was the last game.
Let's just come on. Let's just take it game by game here. So the last time we talked, when was it? When we talked on Thursday, right? Yeah. So it's a week today, really. All right, so where are we here? Detroit. Was it the Philly 6-0 game? We saw that, right? It was the
Okay. So
it might have been the San Jose game. Which one was this? Is it the Boston? Is it the Saturday night game? Anyways, bottom line, Leafs have won 5 straight games, and they're tied right now in the third period against the Red Wings.
So And plus, coming back from a 4-1, you know what I mean?
We gotten used to seeing those the other way.
Especially with Jonathan Bernier and net.
That happened, in the Winter Classic. Remember that happened to us against Detroit, actually?
I don't think Bernier was in net for that.
No, but I'm saying, not the Winter Classic, sorry, the Centennial Classic. When Matthews hit the overtime winner and all that kind of stuff. It was, at least had the 4-1 lead, and then they obviously squandered it, and then they won it overtime.
Detroit had that no name in net, right?
Yeah, Caro, I think it was. Yeah,
or Cario, whatever his name is.
Who knows?
Yeah. So big topic, not about the Leafs, but about NHL. Welcome the 32nd team, Seattle, to the NHL.
The question I have is, what's their name going to be? I think that's, as of right now, I think that's the...
I heard something online and I love it. The Krakens.
That's, honest, I like it. And I can, let me see if I can pick up the 5 logos that they had written out here. I'm going to see if I can find it.
But if you short form Krakens to...
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. I don't know if you should do that. But obviously, you would have to incorporate some type of green in their logo or jersey.
Yeah.
You look at the teams in Seattle. You look at the Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks, they have green incorporated. You look at the Supersonics when they were a basketball team. They had green incorporated.
Yeah.
And the Mariners have some sort of teal going on. Right, so I think that the Kraken. You're just showing me the logo now. I think that'd be
I like it.
I like it, but I don't think the NHL would do it just for the fact that the short form would be a little.
Yeah. And then they have the Seattle. Was that grunge? And it's I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either.
It reminds me a lot of the Vegas Golden Knights in the sense with the whole mask logo.
I don't really like the logo. The name, you know what? The name and the logo.
I'm not a huge fan of it.
Keep going down.
We have the Seattle Sea Lions. I kind of like that.
I like that too.
It rings a bell nicely. The Seattle Sea Lions.
Now, wasn't there a team back in the '60s?
My question about the Sea Lion. What would their mascot be?
A sea lion.
I know, but what the heck would you make out of that thing?
Oh, well, you can make a sea lion.
I get it, but
listen, look at Gritty, look at Yuppie. What's a Yuppie?
I just hit the post with 8 seconds left. Oh baby, yeah, Sparks, kiss that thing tonight, buddy.
Yes. Woo! So what's a Yuppie? Anyways,
yeah, true.
Is that coffee?
And the Seattle Baristas.
No,
I mean that has to be a joke.
Yeah, that's a joke.
But I mean, I like the looks of the Kraken. Post, and out. Oh my gosh. We're just watching the replay here, guys. Oh, I thought that was going... Oh my... Okay, we're stressed out. We're watching the Leaf game here, guys. And if you guys listen to the podcast and watch the game as well, you'll know what we're talking about with 8 seconds left in the third period.
So Larkin just missed a wide open net.
That's fantasy points for me, damn it. But I mean, the Leafs are tied at 4-4, 8.3 seconds left. Anyways, back to Seattle. I really do like a few of those names there. Like the Sea Lions I like, the Kraken I like, but I see what you're saying about the whole name possibly being a problem.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to do well in Seattle. I really do think
I think so too, because Seattle is a sports city. And they love their hockey.
Imagine, because you see at the Blue Jays games, the Seattle and the Jays games, it's like Air Canada West, they call it, right? Because the Jays fans pack that place, and they literally make it a home game. So imagine Vancouver fans making that type of a rivalry. That's going to be incredible.
Because a lot of the Canucks fans would be, I guess, Mariner fans.
Either that or Jays fans for the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'd be great for the sport. Now, since Seattle is going to be in the Central, one Central team has to move out, and that would be the Arizona Coyotes. Yeah. It would be between the Coyotes or the Golden Knights. They would not move the Golden Knights out of the Pacific.
They just got put there. Why are you going to move them so early on, right?
So, and this is kind of weird because at the same time, you have the Arizona Coyotes moving to the Central. No team in the Central is close to Arizona.
Yeah.
You have St. Louis, Dallas, Chicago, Winnipeg. Are those close to Arizona? Yeah. No. Or Phoenix, rather? No.
So this is where you're going to really have to figure things out. I mean, I don't know how the NHL...
Is the team going to be sold? Is it going to be relocated?
It would not surprise me if Arizona's gone by then. No. It really wouldn't surprise me. They have the lowest...
In the next 5 years, but we've been saying this for years. I could see a relocation.
Yeah.
Maybe to Quebec, but it's never going to happen because our dollar's so low. But at the same time, Arizona Coyote fans, if you guys are listening... I feel sorry for you.
That's the question, right? Because
are there anything
like Quebec City? You were talking about Quebec City had a possibility, but I mean, obviously, with the dollar being so low,
would never happen.
Exactly. So, who's the next team? We've been hearing about Seattle for quite a while.
Houston said it was the next team. Houston, a big sports city. They got the Houston Texans. They got the Rockets.
Yeah, Astros.
Oh, they got the Houston Astros too, and you know what? I would not be opposed.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I would pick Seattle and Houston over Vegas any day, but look who came first.
Yeah, honestly.
So, personally, I like it. I just wish that there was another Canadian city, but I could see why Bettman's not doing it because it'd be profitable, but you would be such in debt. And listen, Seattle had to pay $650 million for this franchise.
Right.
If
Vegas paid a lot less,
$500 million.
Yeah.
Well, it was 2 years ago. And the fact is that if the Canadian city wanted it, it would be $800 or $800 million US. That'd be close to $1 billion Canadian.
That's ridiculous.
Oh,
It's
that's
incredible.
why hockey in Canada, it's staying at 7 teams for now.
Which is fine by me. I mean, I as much as people love to, Quebec City and Montreal obviously would be a great rivalry. It obviously was back in the day and all that kind of stuff.
Was it real? Actually, yeah. You know what it was?
Obviously, it's two Quebec teams.
It's
Battle of
the French.
Pretty exactly. I mean, honestly, you're
Croissant.
croissant, oui, oui. Sorry, we're just watching overtime here now. So if we go a little quiet at times, or if we freak out at some point, you guys will know exactly what's going on.
James gonna freak out. I'm gonna stay a little.
Oh god, no! 3-on-1 the other way. Oh no, Mitch, get back, Mitch. Oh, is that Riley? Out of boy, good play.
All right, stay on the podcast there, boys.
Okay,
But
okay. I want to go back to the Leafs real quick, and you wanted to get into the Buffalo game, and I really want to as well. First things first, as much as the Leafs and Sabres are going to have a ridiculous rivalry for years and years and years, finally, the Sabres actually have a decent team.
And they look amazing.
They look fantastic.
Their goalie, Ullmark,
yeah.
and Carter Hutton, too.
That's it. No. Wait, where is it?
That was a nice save.
Where'd it go? Oh, he's still... Oh, I thought it was in the back of the net. Garrett Sparks made a save, actually.
At this point, Garrett Sparks is struggling. Let's just get a point out of it. But we came back from 4-1, so I'd be pretty angry.
Yeah.
If we lost this game.
I would be, too.
So yeah, no, you know what? And what would be... I think this would be a bigger rivalry than us in Boston. The Buffalo-Toronto series, the Battle of the QEW. Are you kidding me?
For me, personally, I think it's until we have a playoff series against them, that's when the rivalry will build. Look, it's great, these regular season games. That game was intense.
That game looked like a playoff game.
The atmosphere was loud. Leaf fans and Sabre fans going at it left and right.
Mind you, it still did look like a Leafs home game. But at the same time... It did,
really.
Listen, Buffalo is a great hockey city, and I've always said it. They're a great sports city.
They're loyal.
I don't really know about the Buffalo Bills at this point.
Okay, 2-on-1 for the Leafs. Kapanen and Matthews. Matthews, Kapanen can't skate, apparently. Oh, God, Matthews into their goalie. Oh, boy, this is a mess. 3-on-2 the other way. Gardner. Oh, jeez. Okay, all right. Anyways, the Sabres, look, that team has gone through a lot of turmoil over the last, 5-10 years, you could say. Because
they're starting, and they will be... Listen... They are going to make the playoffs this year. I have no doubt in my mind that the Buffalo Sabres are going to make the playoffs.
Do you think it's going to be a wild card, or do you think they're going to get an Atlantic Division spot?
They have to just play 500 hockey from now on.
The question, the thing that I'm still questioning, and I think we all will, until probably about the All-Star break, if they're still playing this way, is their goaltending. Now, I understand Ullmark has played well for them, and I understand who's the other goalie they have again?
Carter Hutton.
Yeah, right. He's been all right for them as well.
He's been really good for them.
Right. Can they continue that for the rest of the season? Can that be something they contain throughout a full 82-game span? Look, it's great. They've done it through, 30-something-odd games?
I think they can, because, listen, the starter...
Patrick Marleau, Bernier, you pain in the... Okay.
The starter is playing amazing, and the backup is playing amazing. The backup, besides this game, hasn't lost in regulation all this season. I think he's 12-0-1 or something like that.
What are you talking about?
Linus Ullmark.
Oh, yeah. He's fantastic. I mean, look.
So the backup's playing well in the starter. I could see if just the starter was playing well, kind of like a Cam Talbot of a couple years back. Yeah. But the backup's playing well too. So that being said, I would love to see a playoff series.
They remind me of name wise, maybe not, but John Gibson, Freddie Anderson, 1-2 punch kind of thing.
A little bit. They haven't spent a lot of time with each other.
No, that's why I'm saying not the name-wise, but the way they're playing.
And one's a lot older. I think Carter Hutton's about 31 and Linus Ullmark's like 24. But I hear you. Now, let's move back to the Leafs. I know we're kind of jumping back and forth here. Josh Levo being dealt to the Vancouver Canucks for Michael Chiron or Chapeau.
Coroni. Corona.
Fun fact about him, he owns a vegan restaurant in Hamilton or Peterborough.
Well, there you go.
I thought that was a joke when I read it on Twitter. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's true. Josh Levo was looked at. He wasn't getting a lot of playing time right now. Oh.
Dylan Larkin just ended it in overtime.
5-hole 2 on Sparky.
Fantasy for me, but...
That was a bad goal on Sparks. Anywho.
It's a nice move.
Nice move. And, okay, so where are we going with this? Hey, if Josh Levo was out there, he may have stopped something on that play. Maybe if he was out there, he would have blocked.
And you want to look at it, John Tavares caused that turnover to lead to that breakaway. But anyways.
But anyway, so Josh Levo is looked at as a player who is good depth, could be a top 6 if you're on a kind of a bad team. Listen, if Josh Levo gets the ice time, I think he's looked at as a pretty good player. Well, 15 goals.
He scored his first goal in his first period.
Well, there you go. I think he just needed the chance to, and he will get that on Vancouver. I'm happy for him.
And the thing I got to say about Josh Levo is, I mean, the assists on that goal were Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson. And it was not a power play goal.
And he shot it. He shot it.
Yeah.
It's not like it was some greasy tip in. No. He can shoot. Josh Levo can shoot. Now, the guy we got back isn't projected to be that much.
No.
He was almost a point per game.
In the AHL.
For the AHL. Mind you, his last 2 seasons with the AHL. Unsigned guy. Went to the Q. Tore it up in the Q. Signed as a free agent from Vancouver. Obviously wasn't drafted. He's still 22. He's not really small. He's what, maybe like 6'6'1"? He's promising. He's another scorer that the Leafs need. And we just got back Sam Gagner again.
Yeah, that's really interesting how I wonder what he's feeling in this moment in time.
I would be kind of depressed because he got 3 points in 7 games, right? So, right? Okay, now, last thing before we switch to basketball is the Pittsburgh Penguins made a pretty bizarre trade, in my opinion. Trading Daniel Sprong for a defenseman. If you want to look that up quickly, you can. From the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Sprong was looked at. He's a former second-round pick, which I remember we were talking about. We wanted him.
Back when that draft was happening.
He had unbelievable numbers with the Scranton Penguins last year for the AHL. I think he had almost 40 goals. Kind of struggled a little bit, but personally, I think they're giving up on him way too quickly.
Marcus Peterson? Something like that.
All right, well, Marcus Pettersson. So you're basically trading a D-man for a highly skilled forward. Pittsburgh, I'm telling you this right now, you better be sure that those numbers that he produced for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins don't transition to the Ducks. You better be sure. Because that's super risky, especially when you're 21.
That kid's got a shot. We all know that. I mean, you saw it in junior.
He scored in his first game.
Like you said, you saw exactly, and you saw
with Anaheim,
and you saw it in Wilkes-Barre, as you said. So for Daniel Sprong, I mean, look, the sky's the limit for the kid. He's on a team in Anaheim where you
need scoring.
Exactly.
Right.
And he will get the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that he obviously wasn't getting in Pittsburgh, and he wasn't really getting the significant time to succeed. We were really I wanted Daniel Sprong back when the draft occurred. Because you saw his numbers, you saw the goals amount, and you're like, this kid is something special.
But the defense was horrendous, and he was notorious for being a horrendous defenseman.
Right. Which draft was that?
Not defenseman, but defensive forward. That was 2016, so that was the Mitch Marner draft. No, wait a minute. Now you really have to search this up. It was either 2015 or 2016, because I think it was the Mitch Marner draft. I'm pretty sure. Because it was Mitch Marner draft. So 2015, I'm pretty sure. Second rounder.
15 or 16?
15. And we took, was it Dermott?
Dermott and Bracco, I know we had in the second round there.
You're actually...
there's Mitch Marner. Okay. Yeah, I know. It was the second round, right? Of course, it doesn't even have the second
Just search
round.
up Daniel Sprong, dude.
Yeah, honestly, why not?
Yeah. But with Sprong, it's a high risk, man.
Second round, 46th overall.
So in the 2015 draft.
Yeah.
Again, he had really good numbers in Pittsburgh. You better be damn sure. Now, switching over to the Raptors, because the Toronto Raptors are doing some very crazy things.
They really are. I mean, my goodness.
And they are on an absolute tear. Now, let's forget about the Denver game.
Yeah, because
Shall we?
Yeah.
Because you ranted, and Sid Seixeiro would be pretty proud of you for your rant.
Well, I mean,
Or is it 6-0?
It's 6-0. Like 6, like the number 6.
Not Seixeiro.
No. I mean, it's spelt that way, but he pronounces it different.
Okay.
Anyways, shout out to Sid Seixeiro if he's listening to the podcast. Hey,
Sorry about that.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
We don't want him to yell,
Just
yell at us.
Just
So I'm getting a little
calm down.
nervous.
It's all right.
Have you listened to that guy's rants?
I love them.
Hopefully they're not just towards us. But yes, I love you.
And
Seixeiro.
Okay, whatever.
6-0.
Anyways, that game was horrendously officiated in that fourth quarter, but we're not going to get into that kind of stuff. Look, when the Raptors were able to play their game and they were able to do what they could, especially in the who'd they play? Philly, right? In that Philly game, and the problem for this Raptor team this year, if there's any negative, it's the bench. Fred VanVleet has not been Fred VanVleet. There's been times lately where he's been good. DeLon Wright hasn't really shown a whole lot. OG Anunoby hasn't really shown us, anything really spectacular. You're mainly relying on your starters, and it's different because last year, obviously, it was the depth on this team that was so good.
And that depth is transitioning to the starting lineup, like OG. But at the same time, like you said, you're not getting the same production from VanVleet.
DeLon Wright. Guys like that.
Or should I say Delon Wright?
Delon Wright, dude.
But yeah, so obviously the bench mob isn't the bench mob because we don't have the players on the bench anymore.
You lost Pascal Siakam, and I know people say, well, he wasn't all that great last year on the bench. Look, that guy's still a driving force. He was still an unbelievable player for the bench. Jakob Poeltl, I mean, he's not there, obviously, but I don't really know. I mean, it's really hard to say that Jakob Poeltl is a big reason of why that bench was so good.
Oh. It's mainly Pascal.
Look,
and OG.
Bottom line, DeLon Wright and Fred VanVleet have not made their shots. And I think that's all there is to it. If Fred VanVleet is making his shots, that guy can average over 10 a game off the bench. There's no question about it. But will it happen? I don't know.
No, especially when he's struggling right now. And we talked about this in the last podcast, being if we win against the Golden State Warriors, what are Warrior fans going to say? They said it. Oh, we didn't have Steph. Oh, we didn't.
You knew that was coming. We all knew that was coming.
Exactly. But at the same time, we went in overtime with a pretty dramatic game.
Yep.
And
Kevin Durant had to drop 51. So
he's an unbelievable player.
Oh my God,
I don't think he's the best player in the world. Well,
I don't know about that. I mean, he's one of the best scorers in the history of the NBA.
I think we got one of the best scorers.
We have one of the best two-way players in the game. I mean, Kawhi Leonard had 5 steals against Philly. He ate Ben Simmons a lot. Look, I'm sorry. Your
Ben Simmons hatred starting now.
Well, I mean, he does is he doesn't shoot the ball, right? All he does is dribble and drive. Put Kawhi on him, who has great hands on. He had 5 steals. Ben Simmons had a total of 8 points. And I gotta say this, and I know I didn't expect coming onto the podcast and saying this, but Jonas Valanciunas outplayed Joel Embiid. Like a time.
First and last time, maybe not, but maybe so.
Well, JV was playing physical. He was fighting with him down low.
And Joel Embiid obviously crying like he usually does.
He only had 10 points on 5 of 17 shooting. That's terrible.
But Jimmy Butler basically keeping their team in.
Right.
I still love that move for the 76ers.
No,
but,
of course you got Jimmy Butler. Obviously, anybody would love that move.
Right, for the right price. So a statement win over the 76ers, would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At home, especially being down at one point.
By almost, what was it? I think it was 13, 14?
It was something along those lines, yeah. And to see this team grind it out and really, look, the way this Raptor team dissected the defense, like both teams could not shoot the ball at all in the first half. Yeah. Both teams were shooting under 45%. The Raptors were shooting 38% from the field at the half, and they were only down. They were up by 4.
Yeah, well, that's saying something,
right? And it tells you how good your defense was, and the way this team,
or how bad the offense was for the Sixers.
Well,
probably
way,
both, right?
There's a little bit of both, really. But what we've seen from this Raptors team, and we talked about in the last podcast, we broke down the whole tough stretch they started on, and obviously the next game is against Brooklyn, a team you ideally should beat. They're 8-18. No matter what team they are, they're 8-18. You should beat them.
The OKC Thunder.
That's why
last night.
You should beat them. I mean, I think we all agree that they should. You
should,
beat Philly,
would.
you beat Boston, you flip and beat Golden. I know they didn't have all their guys, but don't give me that. They still had Kevin Durant. They still had Klay Thompson. They still had Iguodala. Don't give me anything else. Look, listen to me.
Wait, so they had Durant, they had Klay Thompson, and then they had Andre Iguodala.
He's still dude. You got to still realize Iguodala's still a defensive presence.
No, I know, but again, that's a pretty big drop off. But yeah, like. The Raptors just have to take it game by game, and this game against Brooklyn, it's a trap game because who do we face after Brooklyn?
Well, and this is when things get funky, because the stretch that the Raptors are going to be on after the Brooklyn game it is ridiculous. Yeah. Let's break this puppy down here. By the way, I think the Knicks are getting absolutely slapped by the. Oh no, it's not too bad actually. I thought it was 97-62 or something like that. It would have been a lot worse. So after the game against the Brooklyn Nets, they face Milwaukee at home. Then they have the Lakers on the road. Then you have Golden State on a back-to-back.
You're wrong. We face the Clippers.
Who did I say, Lakers?
Yes, you did.
Okay, well, they face the Clippers on the road. Then they got Golden State on the road, Portland on the road, Denver on the road, in Indiana, at home for Indiana, home for Cleveland. Then you're in Philly.
That's not that bad. I mean, there are a couple games where it's a bit.
No,
listen,
hold on.
You're home at Cleveland.
Yes.
Indiana, you're home.
There's still 4 games over 500. There's still a playoff team.
I don't care. You're playing at home and you're playing a team that's 4 games over. Whoop-de-doo. In Denver, okay, that's a tough one. In Portland, meh.
They still have Lillard and McCollum. I don't care what anybody says.
But if you're a 21-5 team, you got to beat that on the road. Personally, I think that out of the stretch you just said, there's maybe 2 games that are tough.
Milwaukee at home.
Okay, 3.
Milwaukee's good. Clippers in LA. That team is tops in the Western Conference. They're 16-8.
I don't know how they are, to be honest with you.
Well, they're 16-8. And you have Golden State in Golden State. Portland, no matter what, the Raptors always have a tough time playing in Portland.
But this is the old Raptors. These are the new Raptors with a new franchise player and a new coach.
All right, then you go to Denver. Then you go to Philly.
Yeah, what I'm saying...
There's a lot of tough games in there, man. I don't care where you're playing or what. You're playing some good teams.
Right.
You're not... Look, you play...
Out of any of these teams we're facing, we are the better team.
Agreed, but we were also the better team than Philly, yet we scraped out that victory. We're the better team than Boston, yet we lose to Boston a couple times. You lost to them in overtime in Boston, right?
And then we beat them, what, twice this year?
Once at home.
And then
you lost in overtime on the road. Look, you can't take anybody lightly. You just can't. And seeing the stretch that this team is on, look, and then after that Philly game, you're in Miami, in Orlando, and then home for Chicago. So you have 3 games that you should win. So that stretch is done on December 22nd. So we can go into Christmas time because then the next game is Boxing Day. So for this Raptor team, look, 21-5, the best start in franchise history, with a new face of the franchise in Kawhi Leonard. Speaking of new face, this Kawhi Leonard, I mean, everyone's talking about JV and how he was great off the bench, like I was. Kawhi Leonard's fired up 36-9 with 13-24 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, 5 steals. Just a fantastic game.
Or the Moose, 6 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds.
He should be playing more.
Yeah, maybe they're giving the minutes obviously to JV, and they should. Yeah. But
honestly, I think if the Raptors did not have JV or they didn't have Serge Ibaka, I think you'd see a lot more of Greg Monroe, obviously, but
it's Monroe.
Whatever, Monroe, I don't care.
Monroe.
Mineral. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Look, and the Raptors are what, 2 games up on first place in the Eastern Conference?
3, 4.
3.5.
Oh yeah, okay.
I mean that's great.
Okay.
Now, ideally, it's regular season, and in the end, it doesn't really matter. But look. We are seeing on a game-to-game basis that Kawhi Leonard is continuously getting better and better and better. Obviously, coming off of the Player of the Week honors.
Who is a better two-way player than him in the league?
No one.
We always say top 5, top 2 this, top 3 this.
If we're talking two-way player, he is the best two-way player in the game.
Arguably. Steals, 5 steals against the 76ers.
Who can tell me otherwise? Who else is even close?
And that's not us being biased Raptor fans. Even though we are a bit, who is it? Scorer, okay, there's many. Well, I shouldn't say many, but there's probably maybe 5 or 10 better scorers out there than Kawhi.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
But no one plays as good, better defense and offense altogether
Than Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so just going around the league here, Melo, we've talked about him before.
We've talked about quite a few podcasts.
Yes,
actually.
we have. Obviously, LeBron would love to see Melo in a Lakers uniform.
I mean, you'd love to see vintage Melo in a Lakers uniform. I don't know if he's played with Melo right now, and it's been pretty rough to see. That's for darn sure. Melo has been, obviously was terrible. Then he got released?
Yeah. No, he got bought out and then released, I guess. I don't know.
So basically
he's off the Rockets.
Basically released then.
He's off the Rockets.
Which is never a good thing for a former All-Star, former MVP candidates, all this crazy stuff from Melo.
And good old Russ Westbrook passing Jason Kidd third all-time on triple-doubles.
Arguably Pat
Jason Kidd
Statter,
was
but
third?
Arguably stat patter in Russell Westbrook, because a lot of people say that he pats his stats quite a bit, and who knows, but nonetheless,
Well, no, yeah.
he's still a ridiculously good player. And
Wow, Derek Fisher fell off hard from being the Knicks head coach to being fired from the...
Hired.
Oh, hired. I thought that said fired.
Nope, hired as a WNBA, coach?
Coach for the Sparks.
There you go. And that's Los Angeles, isn't it?
I don't know.
Los Angeles Sparks, isn't it?
Well, you're right. How would you know that?
I don't know. Just
maybe watch a bunch of
WNBA games. Yeah, who doesn't?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well then, I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, is there anything else you just want to chat about around the league here, or
look? Bottom line, all is good in Raptorland right now. The team's playing well.
Hey, if we don't have much to talk about on the podcast, and if there's no rants, well, other than the Denver game,
right?
Then,
which I already did my thing about that.
Hey, you know what?
The team is what? They're 9-1 in their last 10. Wasn't this team slow to start out? They lost 3 in a row at one point. They were 7-3 or
that was their biggest losing streak.
Right.
They started
right,
out
but you go from 7-3 to 21-5.
Well, we won what? What was it? 10 straight?
No, 9 straight. And you lose one, and then you come back and you win your next one against Philly. And that Philly game was key because you had that emotional game against Denver, and obviously the referees were, well, we all know about what happened in that game. And then you go out there against a really good Philly team who's been playing very well with their new addition, Jimmy Butler, and you beat them. I mean, that shows me right there that they came back after a tough loss and then faced arguably a tougher opponent, and you came out and got the victory, and you had that big fourth quarter. Kudos to the Raptors for just an unbelievable job there in that fourth quarter, and in that game for that matter, just playing solid and getting that victory against Philly. Yeah. I mean, really.
I couldn't agree with you more, honestly. So switching over to the Jays now. Do I know?
No, this is gonna be a short one. 42 minutes right now.
Hey, you know what? When they're doing good, man.
Honestly, there's really not much else to talk about. I do enough of my videos to talk about the games and the wins. But if there's nothing else news-wise to talk about, I mean, really.
Maybe we can talk about Drake repping... who's that?
Remember when he
repping someone's jersey on Instagram that's supposed to go not first. It's not that Zine guy who
RJ Barrett. Maybe?
RJ Barrett's high school jersey in his Instagram post. Man, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. All right, let's just move on to.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, you could also say when Drake taking Durant's jersey after the game against Golden State. But anyways, we're gonna move on to baseball now because we're gonna leave it on that.
And you can see that Joel Anthony actually opened up his new restaurant.
Joel Anthony, I think Joel Anthony plays on the Canadian national basketball team.
That just shows how bad of a team we are.
But Canada did beat Brazil, including Anderson Varejão and guys actually playing in the NBA, or used to at least.
Don't tell me Anthony Bennett was on the team. Well, he probably was.
I don't think he was. But anyways, they beat Brazil, so they're going to the what is it? I wouldn't say World Cup, but they're going to.
You know what? It doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to any of that if it's not the Olympics. If it's the Olympics, I pay attention.
Good for Canada, though. Good for Canada basketball. That's all I gotta say. Now let's go to the Jays because there's diddly squat to talk about.
All right, we're gonna go to questions now.
No, we ain't going that deep. But I mean,
that's what she said.
Okay, really? Are we 12?
Yeah, or is this 2012?
Yeah, honestly. Let's just go to the Jays here and see if there's any news swarming around here.
Could absolutely deal Stroman and Sanchez.
Atkins said Blue Jays could absolutely deal Stroman and Aaron Sanchez and Marcus Stroman. I don't think so. I mean, ideally, if the package comes and it's right, I think you make the move. But I don't think this team is shopping those guys. I really don't think that's going to be happening. Obviously for this team moving forward, I don't think you're going to move two young pitchers, two controllable pitchers moving forward. But I mean, you never know. Sky's the limit right now. This team is young. They got a lot of great young core pieces, but you never really know. And something that came out yesterday about Troy Tulowitzki. Now, he's been out now for 2 years? I think it was, or
not straight.
Yeah,
really.
He didn't play at all last year. He was injured halfway through the first year. So
a year and a half.
Okay, a year and a half.
Yeah.
By training camp or spring training, if he's not ready to go, that's telling me that he ain't ready to go. And look, the expectations for Tulowitzki are lowering and lowering by the day because he ain't getting any younger.
Expectations or trade or being valued. Well, both, I guess.
Yeah, because Troy Tulowitzki, look, for this Jays team, his value on this team is basically nothing now. You got a ton of young middle infielders coming up in the system. Tulowitzki's an aging veteran with a big contract. The Jays don't care anymore about Troy Tulowitzki. I don't care anymore about Troy Tulowitzki.
So, if we both don't care, then why? Because he has 2-3 years left.
I don't know. Too many. That's all I got to say about that. I don't know how many
years
it is.
Through, but I just don't want him to be cancer in the locker room, and I think he may do that at this point of his career.
Yeah, Tulowitzki opened his mouth last year.
Yeah, he did.
And he said, well, if somebody's better than me to take my job, then let them do it. But as of right now, I'm a shortstop, and I will not play any other position. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't played in over a year with injuries. Why are you talking like that? Yeah. And that same thing happened with Josh Donaldson, right? Talking about how he didn't really like how the management team was running the team. Well, stay healthy, and then you can run your mouth. But if you can't stay healthy, there's no place for that. That was the same with Donaldson last year, while he was injured.
But Josh could talk a little more because he did obviously more with his franchise.
He played 20 games out of 100 and something last year for the Jays. Didn't do squat for this team last year. And the year before, he had some injuries as well.
And he had an expiring deal, so he could talk. Listen, Troy, you're going to be with this team for another 2 years because that's how long your contract is. So you better smarten up and teach the young guys a bit of something and not be turmoil in the locker room.
The good news is this Tulowitzki contract will not be hurting the Jays because this team's not going to be up near their budget for quite a few years, obviously, with this team in the rebuild stage. Tulowitzki's contract will come, it'll go, and we won't have to worry about it anymore. He'll retire, and that'll be all she wrote when it comes to that. But moving along to... Look, we can talk about expectations all we want for this team in 2019. There's no expectations. There's absolutely none.
There's not with standings-wise, but for prospects-wise, I think there is.
Well, you look at a guy like Vladdy Jr., and obviously there's expectations for him.
Yeah.
But I think for
as a team overall, what you're trying to say, as a team overall, no. There are no
okay, just basically...
Yeah, there are no expectations. Because we're looked at as if everybody stays healthy, 500 team. Prospects-wise, we're looking for big things this year.
Yeah, you look to see Gurriel Jr. take some more steps. You look like a guy like Rowdy Tellez to take more steps. Guys like Richard Urania, Anthony Alford, Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, all those guys that I just mentioned, even some of your pitchers, Baraki, Reid-Foley, guys like that, you want to see them take that next step. They've got, other than Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette that I named, those other guys have had little tastes of the big leagues. Now you want to see what they can do with that and with a full season ahead. The question will be, who's going to make the team out of camp? Well, obviously we're not going to figure that out until spring training rolls around, and throughout spring training we'll figure that out. But there's a lot of question marks going into this year. Right off the top of the J segment, we talked about it. Will Sanchez and Stroman even be a part of the rotation next year? I think they will be.
I think we can't afford to really give up any more starting pitching because we have,
And yes, Sanchez's health has not been great, but he's only 25, 26 years old.
And when he is healthy, he's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we're shopping. Maybe for another starting pitcher, that wouldn't really make sense.
It might be 2 or 3 young prospects. I don't know. I don't know what you do. And the fact that the matter is, these two guys are still fairly young.
Blue Jays, and plus they're still Blue Jays now, right? So they're not traded. I don't think they are going to be traded. I don't think it would be. See, I think it would be Stroman over Sanchez because Stroman struggled being healthy this year. Well, Sanchez was just injured.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you want to go around the league then for baseball?
If there's anything.
There is quite a bit.
Sure.
Let's break this things down here. So, former Baltimore Oriole Jonathan Scope, former Jays killer Jonathan Scope, signs a 1-year deal with the Twins. And I'm shocked he only got a 1-year deal. This guy hit 20-something odd home runs with the Orioles last year. He's like 27, 28 years old. He's not an old guy. Only $7.5 million.
Is he a swing and miss type of guy? Kind of like a Chris Davis?
No, he hits 280. He's a good player. I'm shocked he only got the 1-year deal. But it happens. And guys, this is why baseball to me, look, the salary cap, a lot of people hate the salary cap. I personally like it for the fact of all teams for the most part are even.
Yeah.
And anybody can win at any given time.
It sucks when you're good, but like the Leafs right now.
It does suck when you're good, but you don't want to be guaranteed to win every night. I mean, you do, obviously, but
it wouldn't be fun, especially if you're on the losing end of it.
Right, and you look at the Jays, back in the day in 2015, 2016, when they were killing everybody, and you play a Detroit Tigers team who has nothing. They're all rebuilding. They got nothing going on, and you sweep them by like 10 runs in all 3 games. Yeah. It's a joke.
Right, because
with hockey, I mean, look, the Leafs and Red Wings tonight. The Leafs technically should have won that. They were coming in red hot. They had Nylander back.
Well, that was more
and all that kind of stuff.
Like a fluke game. That wasn't because it's a hard cap. It's because
I'm just saying
team can get good like other teams just based on drafting and signing guys. Where if you have if you have a payroll like in baseball, the Yankees could just get whoever they want. Well, and the poor Miami Marlins and the Oakland Athletics.
Yep.
They can't get diddly.
Speaking of that, the Red Sox re-signed Nathan Eovaldi to a 4-year, $68 million contract. Not a lot of teams could probably do that for a Nathan Eovaldi, but the Red Sox, with one of the biggest caps in the league, they do that.
So, they do that.
Excuse me. The reason I was bringing up the whole cap situation and the salary and all that kind of stuff is because the Cleveland Indians, they're looking to move Trevor Bauer and Corey Kluber. Former Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber. Trevor Bauer had a ridiculous season this past year.
And he blocked you on Twitter.
Actually, apparently he unblocked me. I checked him up, and he actually unblocked me, which is kind of weird. Why he would go out of his way to unblock me.
Wow, so I guess your first hater.
I don't care. Look, the Cleveland Indians re-signed Carlos Carrasco, one of their starting pitchers. So, with their budget not being where, a lot of other teams are, they're looking to trade Trevor Bauer and Corey Kluber. Because I don't know if they're at the end of their deals.
Now, would you want any of these two?
Yeah, I think any of these guys are good players. I think Trevor. I don't
even Trevor Bauer.
He's a good pitcher, and if we're talking about just that, then fine. Yeah, okay. Corey Kluber is a Cy Young Award winner. Anyone would love to have him, but
see, I don't think that
the fact is, it's payroll. It's all about payroll.
Well, the Jays aren't in the bottom 10.
And you hear a team you hear Corey Kluber's name mixed up, the Yankees are going to be talking to them. The Red Sox are going to be talking to them.
So it's not the fact that we don't have a big payroll. It's the teams that do have the bigger payroll than the Jays just eat all of the free agents up.
Yep.
And we can't.
Yeah. That's why you're hearing about, it was so funny hearing that Patrick Corbin, the great left-handed pitcher, we were hearing, the Yankees are going to go after him. Obviously, the big money, right? He ends up going to the Nationals for, 6 years or something like that? And obviously, Yankee fans are really angry. However, they try and play it off as, great job by Cashman because now he's going to go out and sign Bryce Harper. If they don't get Bryce Harper, what's the excuse then?
Is his contract up this year or is it next year?
This free agent class is ridiculous. It's Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. There's some big, big fish out there.
And the Jays aren't going to get any of them.
They're staying course. They're staying course with the rebuild. They don't want to try and excel it and keep going. Because look, do the Jays have the money to pay a guy like Manny Machado $200 million? No.
Well, they probably do, but they won't have any other room for anything else.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to balance. I don't know what this team, budget wise. Look, the Jays are not.
Plus, just
they're not bottom.
Performed on the LA Dodgers. I don't know. Kind of struggled at points.
He did struggle at points, and he did show a little bit of dirty stuff there in the World Series, trying to injure a few guys.
He was always known for that on Baltimore, though.
Well, Baltimore's always been a greasy team, and with your coach being Buck Showalter, I mean, you expect that kind of stuff from your team. But
if you have a greasy bird on your, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, you should be talking about greasy birds because the Jays are a bird. So
yeah, but that's a Blue Jay. What the heck's an Oriole? I've never seen an Oriole. Hey, look at that Oriole flying around.
I mean, I get it. I guess you don't say that.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, look, the reason I brought up the whole cap situation is because teams like Cleveland, who have been a competitive team for years, obviously signed Encarnacion, right? Traded for Donaldson, right? Made a big push the last few years.
They're basically going to lose these guys for somebody possibly in
They're going
our
back
conference.
into rebuild mode again. They have to.
Just like that.
They're losing 2 of their best pitchers.
Maybe.
Well, if they do get traded.
I don't think both of them will. Maybe one. I don't think both of them.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see when it comes to that. And a big trade. This not too long ago, the Cardinals trade. Well, they acquired Paul Goldschmidt, who is, I mean, arguably the all-star of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Our Josh Donaldson, our Jose Bautista. That's them. That Paul Goldschmidt is the Arizona Diamondbacks, and
weren't the Arizona Diamondbacks just coming out of a rebuild?
It feels like it, but they're running into that problem, so they got to make moves. So that's where you look at teams. And like their windows are smaller when you have a small market, like Oakland, right? For example,
it's not fair.
And the reason I don't like that whole cap or the payroll, you look at like exactly perfect team is Oakland. They have a great player in Matt Chapman right now. They have some great looking younger players. They once those guys come of age to hit free agency and stuff, Oakland is going to have to trade them because they can't re-sign them.
And that's sad because if you're an Oakland A's fan, you're excited for these players, but
they're going to be gone. Josh Donaldson is a perfect example.
Josh Donaldson, maybe you can even say Sonny Gray.
Yeah, exactly. And Sonny Gray had some term left.
But sort of similar to that. So it's looking. I don't know why they don't do a hard cap, or even like NBA either. A soft cap.
Yeah,
just something other than a payroll.
Because payroll, it just because then the Red Sox are like, oh, we're so good. Yeah, you have the biggest payroll. Stay hot, like whatever.
And probably exactly.
But that Paul Goldschmidt trade really does a lot of good things for that Cardinals team. There, we're gonna keep going down here. See anything? So the Reds are. The Cincinnati Reds, I guess they're feeling like they're on the out of the rebuild. They're going after AJ Pollock.
Now, are they?
Or Dallas Keuchel.
The beard. Now, are they going, I guess, coming out of a rebuild?
I don't know. I mean, it really... I mean, look.
All right.
Cincinnati Reds, the only thing that faces the franchise
is Joey Votto.
That and, like, Johnny Cueto, who's now gone because I don't think they can re-sign him.
Wasn't Pete Rose on that team?
Yep. We all know what happened with him, so let's just not get into that. But for the Jays, let's just wrap it up with one quick thing. Spring training. What day is today? December what?
The 6th.
Long way away till spring training. People, what, February?
Well, it's winter.
Yeah,
so we gotta wait till spring training.
Yeah, basically, or it's late winter.
Well, it's so technically winter.
But bottom line, the expectations are. Let's just go. Jays fans, we got to go into this year with an open mind. This team might not win a lot of games. There might be some spectacular plays from some of our younger players.
But they're going to look like a hell of a lot more fun than last season.
Yeah, because look how fun September was to watch. There were so many younger players. They looked great and all that kind of stuff. That's what this upcoming year, I'm hoping, is going to be. Yeah. So now, do we have any questions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a lot.
We don't have any, do we?
Yeah, no. Look, Ian, check. We got a lot. Go to the old mention, sliding in your DMs. Well, I shouldn't say DMs, more like ats.
Yeah, right. Sliding in your ats like.
So we got a lot. Mentions.
Just calm down. I was on my... Relax. Just calm down. Jeez. Getting all antsy and stuff. Just calm down. Jeez. You're stressing me out because you're just like looking at me and giving some weird faces. Like, God. There you are. Holy smokes, you weren't kidding. Roderick, who do you think will win a championship first? The Raptors or the Maple Leafs? I think the Leafs, because as long as the Golden State Warriors are still in the Western Conference, it is going to be very tough for the...
That's debatable because as a team, I think the Raptors are more of a complete team than the Leafs.
All right, well, if we're talking about teams, then yes, I do agree with you in that sense. But who do you think will win a championship first?
I think the Leafs. It's close though. That is a good question, but I do think the Leafs.
Yeah. I think we can both agree on that. From Mr. No Name himself.
Mr. Anonymous is back.
I mean, look, he's been away for a few weeks, but
hey, he's coming back better than ever. How many questions is that?
Wait, hold on a second. So wait, there's one question from Roderick and the rest are from the anonymous dude?
Hey. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Alright, well,
wait a minute, is this Sultan CG?
No, who knows, man? Because he's pretty anonymous too. But anyways,
I guess that's the
so
Pittsburgh
from Mr. Anonymous, should the Blue Jays pursue Garcia or Billy Hamilton to play outfield. I'm assuming he's meaning Avisail Garcia on the White Sox. If not, there's like 5 Garcias in the league, so I'm not really sure
Probably on the
which
White
one
Sox.
he's talking about. But no, I don't think either guy should come to the Jays. Look, Billy Hamilton's great, but he's in that range of he's not young. He's already developed as an outfielder. Would I love him on the team? Absolutely. He's got a ton of speed, and he's a great outfielder, plays great defense, hit the balls for contact. Great player. But I don't see it happen.
Great player.
Next question from him, because there's a ton of them. Would you trade Lowry for John Wall? If Wall didn't have that huge contract, I would do it. But I like what I see from Lowry. We need him to score the ball more.
I would absolutely love Wall for Lowry.
Well,
But
it helps because the age as well.
that bad contract is not really a bad contract when you're John Wall. Sure, it's
And
big.
if you're playing with a team like the Raptors who have so many other weapons, like because the Wizards do not. Look, Oubre's all right. Porter's all right.
Bradley Beal.
Obviously, Bradley Beal's good, but there's obviously been trade talks towards him. I don't think it's going to go anywhere with that.
If it's a 1-for-1, absolutely.
Yeah, I would too. I'd be okay with that. I know Lowry's the face of this team, but
It doesn't matter when you're getting John Wall.
yeah, exactly. And the same thing with DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard, right? Trading the face of the franchise for Kawhi Leonard.
Someone who's better.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, next question from him. Do you like what the Mariners did? What the Mariners did is what you wanted the Jays to do years ago. Do you agree? I like the Mariners GM by maximizing his players' value and getting prospects.
They're tearing it down a bit too soon, in my opinion.
Look, their whole regime of signing Robinson Cano back in the day and Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
And those big, it didn't get them anywhere. They didn't. They never made the playoffs with those.
Now
guys.
they're unloading on those guys,
Yep.
and they're getting something for them. And I think that's what the Jays should have done.
Look, they lost James Paxton to the Yankees as well, the Canadian. Look, there's a lot of question marks with the Mariners.
Plus, the Seattle Mariners have always been terrible ever since Ken Griffey left. So that and the fact that they're getting value, like you said in your question, for players. And yes, I do feel like the Jays should have done this about 2 years ago. Or a year ago.
Speaking of, so this is kind of another
this
part
is
to that
Mr. Anonymous.
question. Thoughts on Cano Diaz trade? Look, it's a really odd scenario because Robinson Cano is still an amazing player, but you traded basically your Roberto Osuna, Edwin Diaz,
For no reason. But
he's still a younger player. He's so young. He came into the league a couple of years ago, so it's not like he has like 1 year left.
It's a
of
question
eligibility.
mark, but they saw something that other teams obviously didn't,
I guess.
and thought that this guy, he's not going to be a part of our future.
But then you think the other side, the New York Mets. I mean, what are they? They have they have Jacob deGrom. They have Noah Syndergaard.
They think that they're ready to go for it, and
They were horrendous last year.
Oh, no.
They're not healthy. They didn't have Cespedes. They're not a very great team. And you had Cano. Yeah, Cano is still going to hit you 300 because he's unbelievable.
Well, for how long is he going to do that for?
And his contract, if I'm not mistaken, is still massive. I think that's probably why they had to add Diaz into the trade. But yikes.
So based
I don't
on this
know.
trade, do you like it for the Mets, where they're going nowheres, in my opinion?
I think it all
the New York
depends.
Mets are basically trying to make them into a contender, and I don't think they are.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Look, both. I question why they traded Diaz, and I'm questioning why the Mets even made this deal in the first place. But it happened, and that's all she wrote. Would you trade JV, Fred VanVleet, and Miles or Powell for Jan Mahimi and Bradley Beal?
Hold on.
Miles, yes, please. You get rid of JV, who's backing up Serge.
Well,
Greg Monroe. I mean, or Jan Mahimi. He's not much. He doesn't do a whole lot.
Basically, grading Bradley Beal for JV and
Look, Bradley Beal definitely helps your starting rotation, but then again, Denny Green's going to go to your bench. How will he fit there?
No,
Look,
I don't.
then who would move?
No, I'm saying I don't think I'd do that.
I wouldn't do it either. No.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do that.
Chances of Leonard re-signing, and do you see the Raps making it to the finals? I think every day the Raptors win, every time they
The question mark's out there. It's
we don't know. We have no clue if he's going to sign.
It's
or
like
not.
the whole Willie Nee situation. We have no idea.
Some people thought right when the trade went down that he's not even going to play a game with the Raptors. Yet he has played almost every single game, other than back-to-backs.
And he's looked happy.
He looked fine. He's looked happy. He's smiled a lot, and he's playing
laughing.
some unbelievable basketball.
And he's laughing.
Do I see them going to the finals? I think it's doable.
I think so.
What team in the Eastern Conference will dominate the
We
Toronto
beat
Raptors?
every team in the East that was looked at as a Raptors killer. We beat the 76ers. We beat the Celtics once. We beat, I the Wizards, maybe.
Yeah, we
I
beat
don't
them
know.
like twice or something.
And we beat the Golden State Warriors. Absolutely.
I think they can definitely go to the finals. I think that's definitely a possibility. Thoughts on possibility of Stroman and Sanchez getting traded? We already talked about that. I would be willing to trade Anthony Alford, Kevin Pillar, and Reese McGuire, and Morales for Encarnacion and Trevor Bauer. Would you like this trade if the Jays were to do it? So,
and Bauer.
So, guys, we've talked about this team being on a rebuild, and everyone and their grandmother is preaching, get younger players, trade these old guys for younger players. Anthony Alford's 23 years old. Reese McGuire's 22 years old. I understand Morales is old, and Pillar is obviously almost, I think he's 30 or something like that, getting close to that.
I think he's 32.
Trevor Bauer, I don't want him on this team.
So now you don't want him.
Look, I like the player, but I don't like the person. But
and I don't think he would even want to play here.
No. And Edwin, look, people just want Edwin back because of the story. And I get that.
But why?
What is he going to do for this team now?
Basically, like if
he's not going to bring this team back to the
Ottawa
promised
Senators
lands.
said, we'll take back Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, right.
Why, what would that do for the franchise? No,
it's not. It's not going to happen. Do you think the Jays will complete? Wait. Do you think hold on. Do you think the Jays will compete if they get Dallas Keuchel? How likely do you see it happening? I don't think it happens. I don't think it happens either there, man. I really don't think so. And if they do get him, I don't think they'll be a competitor anyways because all it is one pitcher. Yeah. And you still have a lot of young players and your bullpen still is meh. And there's a lot of question marks still with one pitcher. It's really
actually,
tough.
There's a lot of questions in general. How many more do we got?
One more. That's it. Do you think Markelle Fultz is a bust, or can he figure it out?
We talked about this.
We talked last week. I think we talked about it in last week's podcast.
I think he is. And I don't like calling people a bust, but this is your jump shot. It's not like you're overweight. It's not like you can't
Ben Simmons
run.
doesn't have a jump shot.
Yes, but he can drive and he's a big man.
Well, okay. So for me personally, I wouldn't call him a bust yet. He's still so young. I think he's definitely on pace to be one. But I wouldn't say he's a bust yet. And you say, can he figure it out? There's a part to that question I do agree with. Can he figure it out? I think so. But can he figure it out on the 76ers? No.
Listen, he got diagnosed with some sort of not
what
a
was
disease.
That? Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
I don't know, but he got diagnosed with something, and it's not looking good. I hate to call a 20-year-old a bust, but I really do think he is on any team.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. It's a jump shot. It's not like he's overweight.
Yeah.
It's not like he has bad attitude issues. You can't shoot.
And that's something you can't teach.
Especially when you're not a big man.
How do you go first overall?
I don't know.
And not be able to shoot.
He came out of Washington State, I think.
But
but he was consensus number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was supposed to go number 1. It's not like Anthony Bennett, who is maybe top 5, maybe top 4.
Yeah.
Not first overall. No, this guy was supposed to go first overall.
Yeah,
I don't know. You hit on some, you miss some, but I think he is, sadly. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for episode 38 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast. Thank you guys for listening to this late night edition. Yeah. We will be back next week.
Next week, either Tuesday or Thursday. We're not sure which day we're going to do yet. It's either of those 2 days, regular time.
Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Especially with the live commentary of the Leaf game for the most part.
Exactly.
I hope you guys enjoyed this, this podcast as we do it every week. 38 weeks we've done this thing. It's incredible as every week goes by. I mean, ideally we missed a few weeks as well. So
due to vacation and obviously
mainly vacation.
Communication issues.
Yeah, it's happened and whatever. You know
what's gonna happen? As long as you guys keep listening, we're gonna keep doing it, and we know that you love James's rages.
Oh yeah,
and that's gonna come. And I guess we're starting season 2. Coming in a couple weeks now.
I love doing rages because for me that Denver game,
and for you it's more clicks.
Well,
clickbait.
Well, it's not clickbait. It's natural.
Teal Sports Talk goes on a rage. Smash his phone.
It's natural reactions. Yeah,
smash his phone. Yeah, I wouldn't do goes that. Crazy. No, snaps.
But
not clickbait.
In that Denver game, I needed that. I was so angry. I'm yelling at my TV and everything. I was so angry. So I was able to come on my video, yell to you guys about what my feelings were towards the game, and I was good after. It's nice.
So it's like a stress.
Basically. Stress in games like that is a big time stress relief. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will talk to you guys very shortly as obviously the Leafs lost in overtime to the Detroit Red Wings. And Evan and I will talk to you guys either Tuesday or Thursday
Next week, definitely next week for episode 39 of the
My birthday's on
Talk.
Wednesday, so I booked off the 2 days before that. That's why we can do it either Tuesday or
Well, never
Thursday.
gotta say happy early birthday.
Well, if
Not
you
really
do-
belated.
Well, not yet.
Hey, I wish him on the comments. But again,
Thank you guys so much.
That day you'll probably say it.
Yeah,
On a video or whatnot.
So, guys, thank you guys so much. And Evan and I will talk to you guys either Tuesday or Thursday, podcast edition, episode 39 of the TO Sports Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys then.
Peace.